Sorry, I forgot to do that before.
That's okay. Let me do that. Got it. All right. So we have this concept called entrainment, and there have been studies where they've taken heart muscles, put them together that were beating on different rates, but when they're together, they start beating together. There's scientific studies of women in the service that when they live together, they start to get everything in the same rhythm. And what I like to do is an experiment to see if we do the same thing, if we can get our brain waves together on the same track.
Okay.
All right. So why don't you pick a deck of cards? Okay. And just shuffle them up a little bit. Just shuffle them a few times, look at them, make sure they're a real deck of cards.
They look real to me. Okay.
Okay. All right, and put them together.
Okay.
And in order to make it a little bit fairer, I'll give you my deck of cards, and you give me yours.
Okay.
All right. So we both shuffled the cards. Now we have our cards. So now I'd like you to look and pick out a card, any card in the deck.
From your?
No, from your deck.
Oh, I can look at them?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So pick out a card. All right, and don't show it to me.
Okay.
All right. And why don't you, for now, just show it to the camera and let everybody else see what your card is.
I don't know if you can see it.
All right. Well, you know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so put your card down on the table for now. Now let's make this deck nice and neat because then we want to have orderly thinking. And put with it. You're the red deck. I'm the red deck. Yeah.
Yeah, the red.
Okay, put your deck down.
Mhm.
Okay, and let's put our card on top. All right. And now take your deck and take one half and put it down to the right.
Right.
Good. And let's put the other one on top.
Okay.
All right, start shuffling it up. Let's cut it again. Do it again to the right. And then on top. And for that, should we do it one more time or do you think you got enough?
Sure, let's do it again.
Do it again. Okay, take it to the right and then put it on top.
Okay.
All right, so now we both shuffle, we move things around. So why don't we do this? Why don't we switch decks?
Mhm.
And why don't you look through your deck that I just gave you
Uh-huh.
and find your magic card, the card that you've picked.
Okay.
All right, and just place it on the table, face down. All right, and just put that on the deck down. Now, we've done the same thing. We're thinking alike. We played around, moved the cards back and forth. Wouldn't it be something if both of us actually picked the same card?
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, you know what? Why don't you turn over your card?
You and your husband.
All right. You know what? Why don't you turn over my card?
Wow.
Wow, we both picked the same card.
Sweet.
Amazing.
Wow.
We're on the same wavelength.
I guess so. We've been married too long.
All right, well done.
All right,
Nice
thanks.
job.
Thank you. Okay,
That's great. Well done, John, and well done,
Thank you.
Sue, right?
Suzanne, yes.
Well done. Thank you so much.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Any comments, any thoughts for John? Any responses?
Nicely done, John.
Thank you.
Well done. Nice meeting you, Sue.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all too.
I liked your introduction to the trick. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I like the way at the end where you had Suzanne turn over her card first and then have her turn over your card. I like that.
Me
Okay,
too.
good,
Yeah.
thanks.
Very good.
Oh,
Good.
that was good.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I personally really appreciated how clear you were with your instructions to her, to Sue. And also that made it clear to us watching, like, okay, here's what you're doing. Everything is clear. We could follow it very easily. So when the end came, it was like, oh, that's perfect.
Okay. Great, thanks a lot, Eric.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
I had a question for the instructors about this trick because when I was practicing it, I ran into an issue one time.
Sure.
And this is sort of weird. At one point, I cut, after I did all the cutting, it turned out that I had separated the key card from the card that would have been the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do on the fly? Because I was just practicing it, so I knew which card it was. But if you were on the fly, what would you do?
Well, so you're in, hang on. I was prepared for coins, but not for cards. Let me give me 1 second to grab a deck.
Figure out that.
This is Ken. I did the same thing when I was practicing. I just found that my key card was on the bottom.
Yeah, that's what
Or I knew that their card had to be the first card, the top card.
Yeah, that's what I figured too, but like it just seemed like really kind of improbable. But if it happened to you too, maybe it's not completely improbable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it does happen. And let me,
And cutting the deck doesn't really change the order, which is the key point. So that the only way that it can be wrong is for the key card to be on the bottom and the selected card on the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the order just doesn't change when you cut. So
so
it can't get lost other than that.
what happened to you, I think, is the
Mhm.
selected card was the 9 of diamonds, and your key card, well, oh, we'll do it this way because that's easy. So your key card is here, the ace of spades, and then the 9 of clubs is going to be the selected card. Okay,
Right.
you cut and you cut and you cut, and then suddenly you find yourself back in this position. That's what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so you've done all the cutting, and now they have their deck and you have your deck, and you're looking for their card, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's how you discover that your key card is here.
Right.
Okay, and so what you're concerned about, and stop me if I'm wrong on any of this, is that
Okay.
you are looking for your card and going through, and it just doesn't look so nice if you pull out the card on the top of the deck.
Right. Yeah. That's, yeah. Okay.
Here's what I would do is I'd look at it and I go,
Okay.
you know,
It just startled me. Somehow I managed to separate the two cards when they ordinarily should have been together, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
right.
Yeah.
I get it. You know, that suddenly you're doing,
Right.
you're doing this.
Yeah.
And here, oh geez, here's my key card. That means that this is my selected
Okay.
card.
Okay.
And
okay.
so, you could pull it from here, but I agree that it
Right.
doesn't look as nice. So I would just, does nothing saying you can't just do one more cut in your hands without talking about it.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't have to be a move.
Right. Okay.
You're just making room in your hands.
Right. I guess just knowing it's a possibility is important to point
Yeah.
out also
Sure.
that it could happen.
Well, and that's one of the ways that we all learn. We all learn what we can do in these scenarios, like, oh, this happened. And the first thing you do is remind your face not to show that you're trying to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
out what's going on.
Right.
Because I have
Yeah.
zero poker face. And so I tend to look and I go, ooh, and then I go, wait, no, impassive face, it's all okay.
Yeah, I'm no good at poker face.
And
Okay.
so, yeah,
Thank
you
you.
figure it out. And then, but when you do it a bunch of times, you make all the mistakes and you learn how to get out of it. So it's okay.
Okay. Okay.
So you realize, okay, so if my key card's here, then this is here. And there's a lot in Magic because we talked about not telling the audience what you're going to do ahead of time. This is
Mhm.
one of the reasons why.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Because if the audience doesn't know what's supposed to happen, they don't know you're doing something differently. And the more you do casually, if you do it like it's not a big deal, the audience will think it's not a big deal. If you don't telegraph that you're, there's a move, the audience has no idea, just, put it, yeah, I got to put it down. I got to get it out of his hand. You don't have to make a thing. It doesn't have to be a production. You can just do something without making a big deal of it. And if you're casual, they'll never notice that you did it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is it possible with the multiple cuts that your key card will get separated from the card that you're looking for?
No, because, okay, so again, I'm going to do this is my key card. So my selected card will be the Jack. Okay, so this is my key card, and then we cut. All right, we can cut an infinite number of times. And the ace and the Jack will always be next to each other in the loop. So the only thing that can be different is if the ace is on the bottom of the deck and the Jack is on the top. But other than that, as long as we're only cutting, the ace and the Jack will always be next to each other. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Is that
Yeah,
okay?
well,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, but or okay, I believe you.
Well, once I saw that fourth cut, I'm going, what happens if they get separated?
They can't get separated because the stack is a loop. As long as you're only cutting, it nothing changes order. It just goes around in a loop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So thank you so much, John. That was fantastic. Ken, you volunteered to perform for us today.
Okay, I'm gonna move my camera. Tell me if you can see my cards and my hands.
Okay, hang on one second. Replace spotlight.
Because once I move, I can't see anymore, so,
Right.
okay.
Okay, yes, we can see you.
Great. I'm going to perform a card trick, and I know a lot of people think card tricks are very boring. So I tell a few jokes as I do my card trick. I'm going to use my red deck of cards. We've all heard, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, the chicken crossed the road to get to the other side. So my grandson tells me all kinds of funny jokes, and so I'm going to tell you a few as I cut the cards. One of my favorite ones that he talked about is, why did the pig cross the road? Anybody know? Well, oh, excuse me, why did the pig cross the road twice? It's because he was a dirty double crosser. Okay, with that being said, why did the lion cross the road? Well, he wanted to get to the other pride. Then as we get around to it, he asked me the question, why did the dragon cross the road? That's a simple one. Buy a layer freshener. Okay. And the last one I have is, why did the turtle cross the road? And the answer is, we don't know. He's still crossing. With that being done, my cards, as you can see, are all mixed up now as I shuffled them. And as I flip my blue deck over, I thought I used the red deck. Oh, okay. In this case, I must have transferred the decks. And at this point, my next thought, now that I'm done with this trick, is I would go into the trick that was previously shown. I have a question for you guys. How do you ditch the red card that's hid in here so that you can do the do as I do trick? Anybody have a suggestion for that?
What was the question, Ken?
I would like to go into, after I perform this, I shuffle, I transform the decks, now do a do as I do trick, the one that was previously shown.
Yeah.
How do I ditch the red card that was in here? I haven't figured out a way to ditch the red card in order to do a next trick. And I was just wondering if anybody's ever thought about that or figured it out. I'm still thinking about it.
I use multiple decks.
Or I do the other trick first.
You would do the other one first?
Is the red card on the bottom?
Yeah.
What a thought.
I do have thoughts.
Oh,
It really
okay.
depends on the situation you're left in and where you're going to next. So at the end of, I'm not super familiar with the tricks from the last lesson. So at the end of this color changing deck, you presumably have a blue deck with one red card.
Right.
And where is that card?
It's about the 5th or 6th one in the way I've been practicing it, so that I can show the end and the front of the spread. And then I can pull out the red deck, which is complete except for the one card. And we can then go into, as I do, where you pick your favorite card. You know, and then of course the key card, which is the previous trick that was just discussed. I can't figure out if I don't want to hand them the blue deck with the red card still in there. So I was trying to figure out how I ditch that card. Other than I was playing with the idea of maybe that was my favorite card, but somehow block it as I went through. I just don't know if I can even do it. So I was just asking for thought. That would give me a reason to have 2 decks out, showing the cards, doing the transformation, and then move right into another trick.
Yeah. So my first thought would be, if you have the red deck you use for the trick and you bring out a blue deck, if at some point you could, have these 2 decks come together and be able to move that odd card into the deck it belongs in. But the challenge is, in order to do that, it can't be 5th from the top. That's
no, I
that's
have to
not
put
gonna
it at the very bottom.
So
I
you'd
could
have
do
to put it
that
to the bottom
too.
or the top, and to me, there's a couple ways you could do that, just kind of as a casual thing. Because the interesting thing is, if you spread the cards this way, the audience can't see any odd card because they're all faces, but you can clearly see the odd back. So what you could do is just, that leaves us with a perfectly ordinary deck. Cut at your odd card, just much like Sarah did before, just do a casual cut and put your odd card on the bottom. And then if you set that down right on top of your other deck, you've added that one card onto the other deck.
Good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of routine, like putting tricks back to back, is about solving those little tiny problems. So it's an ongoing process.
Anybody have any other comments for Ken? Any comments, thoughts, suggestions?
This
John?
is John. One of the things about this trick that kind of gets me is we're really subtly supposedly showing, whatever, that it's the red card. It's always the red deck, and then all of a sudden it's blue. But I guess for me, I'm a little slow, is that I don't catch that much. It's like, so when all of a sudden they're all a different color, it's like, okay, what, did anything even happen? Because nothing drew my attention to the fact that it was a red deck all along. It was just, the things are moving and now they're all blue. It's like, okay, I think one of the problems I have with this trick, and maybe it's just me, is when I look at it is, how do I get them to really realize it's the red deck and now it became the blue deck, as opposed to, because if all you're doing is this kind of thing, people are listening, you're listening to jokes or whatever the story is you're telling. I'm not so sure, at least for me, I'm not paying attention to the back of the deck all that much.
So could we do this? Have blue card in the red deck and a red card in the blue deck, and you ask them to pick which deck do you want. So now you're forcing them to think red or blue, whereas in the red box, you have all blue cards with the red card on top. So now when, as Ken did, when you're shuffling the thing, they know they've picked the red deck. And so they keep thinking red deck. I think that would be my solution.
This is Ken. I actually thought about doing that. That's the reason I had the 2 decks out, and then I picked the red deck and started. I had a blue card on top of the red deck and a red card, and figured that they chose the red deck. And I tried this with my 9-year-old grandson, and I would have the blue card on top of it. If they chose the blue deck, I'd have the red card on top of that. And when I pulled the out of the blue box, or I would just leave the one card in the box. But it just didn't feel comfortable to me. So that's where I thought I'd just go with the one deck and then do a transformation to when the card trick was I do. And that seemed to work out smoother for me with my grandson. And of course, him and I tell jokes back and forth all the time. So that worked for me as I shuffled the cards. So yeah, it's not obvious you're switching color.
Well, and I think that part of what they were getting at is that maybe there's a way to draw attention to the fact that it's a red deck without, saying, look, here it is, a red deck. Notice that it's red, but with, either making a connection to something else that's red, or, that it matches somebody's outfit, or that it, whatever it is, that there's a connection to it being red, but you've pointed it out in a way that's a little more organic, so that then when suddenly it's blue, or maybe the story that you're telling, has a reference that's appropriate, and then the reference in the story changes, but that there's a connection, there's a significance to the deck being red, so that the audience sees it, registers it, and remembers it. And then when suddenly it's blue, now you don't have to tell them, I thought I was working with a red deck, because now we're trying to remember, what happened? Oh yeah, I think so. But you don't get that immediate wow moment if they don't remember that the deck is red, because it can be a small thing.
How about using a deck that's a completely different looking back?
That might be a more dramatic change. I might still want to draw attention to it in an organic way, just because your audience. Have you all seen there's a psychology experiment where you watch a video and you're told to count how many times the basketball players bounce the ball, and then at the end of the 90-second video, they ask you, okay, how many times did they bounce the ball, and then they ask you, did you see the guy dressed as a gorilla wander through the set? And if you're focused on the basketball players bouncing the ball, you don't see the gorilla. And it's some staggering percentage of people never see the gorilla. My point is that if you are focused on something, if I'm focused on the jokes that you're telling, if I'm focused on some other part of what's going on, I may have never registered that the backs of the decks were red. And so you want to make that part of the foreground of the magic trick if it's going to be important later. Also, I love the story, the connection with, he tells me jokes, and then you're gonna share them, and the jokes are awful and funny and charming. I would say, just set up the scene and then tell me the jokes. Don't tell me that you're going to tell me jokes. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just set it and go. You don't have to explain quite so much, because then I get to be kind of part of Valerie. Valerie, is that the video of the psychological study in the chat? It's rather than telling me about a moment you had with your son or your grandson, let me be part of it. Make sense? Awesome.
Yes, I put a link to the gorilla thing.
Oh, super. Thank you. So you can all play with it later. Now that I have given away the big finish and ruined it for all of you. So, okay. Any other comments for Ken before we move on? No? Okay. Thank you so much, Ken. That was great.
Ooh,
And I enjoyed that.
I had
And
one more joke if anybody wants to hear it.
no, we're moving on.
Correct answer.
Sudhir,
Yes.
our final performer for today. So are you
All
ready?
right. Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
fantastic.
So this is going back to when I was learning magic and learning card tricks. I learned that there are several ways of shuffling cards. There is the riffle shuffle card. There is an overhand shuffle card. Now, I come from India, and do you know, I practice Hindu shuffle. So I'm going to show you the Hindu shuffle. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the shuffle, which is the Hindu shuffle, and I need a volunteer. Sarah, would you be my volunteer?
I would be delighted.
All right. So tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. So I'm going to turn my face away, and I'm going to show you the card that you chose.
Got it.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So now what I want you to do is, so we're going to put this deck away, and the card that you chose, and I don't know what that card was, you are going to do magic, and you're going to draw the card out, right?
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're going to say your magic words and pull the card up by magic. Go ahead. Do your magic.
What magic words do I say?
Whatever is your favorite magic word. But I want you to do this so
Okay.
that you pull the card away.
Okay. A la peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
You pull the card up. Is that your card?
That's, I can't see. I think that's it. Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Any comments, questions, thoughts for Sudhir? Anybody? Okay,
Well, I liked the,
go ahead.
I guess you didn't see what the, I like the little talk about the different kind of shuffles and that you do the Hindu shuffle. Because, you know, I'm sure most people that aren't into this stuff have never even heard of the Hindu shuffle, but they see you doing it this other way. So it really looks fun, you know, different. So I think that's really good. And it's having it come out of the other box, that's a, you know, it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, that worked nicely. It was a great reason to be doing something that was different.
Right. And since Sarah, you said come up with a new way of revealing the card.
Yeah.
I thought rather than trying to guess the card, I'll have it come out of this box.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Henry, you have a
I won't elaborate on it, but I just wanted to mention that this is in regard to the Hindu color change discussion. I'd just like to refer you to the Mark Wilson book on page 53. He has a suggestion and a procedure on how to emphasize or how to convey the fact that you have a red deck. And so I would just suggest that you look at page 53 of your Mark Wilson book for a suggestion. Yeah.
He covers that. Great. You know, it was very effective. That was fun to pull it, and pulling it out of another deck worked nicely. And you know, we didn't really cover a lot of possible ways that one could do that in the last session. You know, the mind boggles. I mean, it could be, you know, since you know what the card's going to be ahead of time, it could be, you know, if this trick is between, you know, it's on page 58 of your Mark Wilson book, and you open up your Mark Wilson book and there's the card. You know, it could be anywhere. It could be in your shoe. It could be, you know, tattooed on your arm. It could be, you know, wherever it is. You know, but really this is an opportunity to do something, you know, wild and impossible. And, you know, I don't think I told the story, and stop me if I did. I taught something like this to a group of students, and one guy was at a science museum, and he came back and talked about how the brain is so amazing and the powers of the brain, and how it looks, and it with all these wrinkles on it, it looks kind of like a walnut. And he produced a walnut, and think of your card. He cracked open the walnut shell, and inside the walnut shell was a folded up card. And it was, it was connected a little better than I did it. But the idea is that you know what it is ahead of time. Go nuts. And so this was really cool. And everybody, as you think about how to do this, the setup is is not hard. The important part of this trick, the great part of this trick, is in the reveal. And you can do anything. So this is an opportunity to really think big, go nuts.
Thank you.
I would, however, suggest that you give your volunteer a magic word to say.
Oh, okay.
It's part, if they have something they want to say, that's fine, but I would offer them something. If they, just because they're on the spot and maybe they don't have a favorite magic word, or don't, or maybe there's a magic word that you want to give them that has something to do with the style of the trick, or whatever it is. But so I would make that suggestion.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Then
I always have thoughts.
We'd love to hear them, Brian.
I really liked how you engaged your audience volunteer and had them participate. That was very nicely done, and it makes every trick a little bit more interesting for me to see the audience involved in that way. So nicely done on that.
Thank you.
My suggestion is think about the way that your trick is framed, which is particularly important when we're on camera, because when you were having the card rise, it was kind of right down here and almost popping off the bottom of the screen a couple times.
Right.
So you need to think about holding that up so we can clearly see the magic, because we almost missed it a little. And it's as I said, it's easy to think about on camera that you have to keep everything in frame, but really this is a lesson that goes off screen as well. When you're performing in person, you should try and frame your magic so it happens around your face as much as possible, because you see a lot if you go on YouTube and look at card tricks, you see a whole lot of card tricks that are performed in front of someone's crotch. Like the camera's zoomed in, there's just their crotch and they're sitting there doing a card trick. Compared to doing a card trick up here with your face in it, it's so much more engaging. So I always suggest try and lift the trick up to this area, and it's going to be a lot better to communicate.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. That's a very good suggestion. Thank you.
And I'm going to add, and this may not be a big issue, but the second camera to the table in front of you is not, I don't care for that shot. I know everybody uses it, but I don't care for it, because my feeling is that when I'm watching magic, this is the show. This is what I want to see. The cards or the objects are number two. That's second. I realize that as a magician, like, I want you to see the cards or the coins or whatever I'm working with, but this is the most important thing. And so if I'm, as a spectator, if I'm not seeing your face, I'm not happy.
I have one of these cameras which I use for teaching, for clarity, but for performance, I agree with you. I would much rather be facing my audience and connecting with them personally.
So my cheat when I'm working at a table is I use, and I'm not set up for it right now, but I set up my table so that it's.
And then you just lay your head on your table. You're performing, right?
Yes, Ryan, that's exactly what I do. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, happy to help.
I mean, since I didn't have to lay the cards down on the table, I decided to do it up here.
Well,
but that suggestion was good, that when I do the reveal, I should hold it up rather than holding it down.
You could even,
here.
if you had a little stand or something, that second deck could be there the whole time. And it would actually enhance the magic, because it's like, you haven't even touched this, but watch, and it rises up.
Yeah.
So if you'd actually like the information that I was going to give, instead of just letting Ryan make fun of me, we could just do this with Ryan making fun of me, and that is a legitimate choice. But I will raise up my table a little bit, so that instead of my table being, down here in front of me, I will cheat it to the side a little bit and here. and I'll kind of have one arm on it like this, and I'll work here. And so my table is kind of to the side. And so I'll sit here and have my table here so that you can still see my face and see whatever I'm doing. It's not perfect because the camera is a little higher and the angles aren't great. That's the cheat that I use because I refuse to have a camera that just shows the table. So it's not perfect, but it's another option. Go ahead and mock me, Ryan.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
When I have my table, it's like up to past my nipples. It's super awkward to perform, but yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise, like when I do my cups and balls via Zoom, the camera's got to be way back, and I don't love that. But that way, my hands and my face have to be in the same shot. And I cannot do my cups and balls like that. The cards I can do, the cups and balls, no, far beyond my capability.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other thoughts before we move on to the business of the day? All right, I hope everybody we're doing coins today. Everybody have your close-up mat that came in your kit.
You got a close-up mat?
Yes.
Lucky.
I guess that was in everybody's course pack, a little close-up mat. I tried to be thoughtful.
Well, that fixes. I was trying to solve that problem for everyone, but if they have a close-up mat, that makes it a lot easier.
No, you didn't ask me. I told you. So close-up mat, and I've told everybody 6 quarters. So some of you may also. I also went to my bank and got $5.50. I got an extra one for dropping.
Are you just bragging that you had that much money on hand, or?
Well, because I also suggested that people may want to try it with the $50. I find them unwieldy and difficult to work with, but I don't practice with them that much. So really, it's on me. And I suggested that everybody bring 6 so that you have one to drop and roll under the sofa. Which I have already done with a $50.
And just since we're talking about coins, I will be using my Canadian coins. And as you know, Canadians got rid of the penny. So all of my performance will be nonsense.
Oh. That's
That's actually all I came for today. I could go home happy now.
I'm putting you in a breakout room with Ken. All right, I'm now gonna take my spotlight off and mute myself and turn it over to Ryan.
All right.
Who's gonna take this?
So I was reminded this morning of the Scottish comedian Billy Connolly, and he has a line about taking banjo lessons. He was taking banjo lessons up until he discovered that his banjo instructor was 3 pages ahead of him in the Pete Seeger banjo book. So today that is me. I am the non-coin magic instructor for the day.
I didn't sell you out. I wasn't gonna.
No, I'm honest. No, but I don't consider myself to be a coin magician. However, I'm coming to this with 20 years of experience as a magician, and so I get a bit more of the beginner's perspective on this. So maybe it'll be helpful for looking at these with little. I haven't forgotten as much as I may have. Anyway, let's try demonstrating a trick. This is a piece of paper. I don't know if a piece of paper was included in the kit, or you had to supply your own.
You have to supply your own piece of paper.
Okay, you're gonna have to supply your own piece of paper. It's about the size of an index card, give or take. But you need to be able to take that and fold it. And once you fold it, you can snap your fingers and out pops a coin.
Ooh.
That's a bonus. That's not in the book, but the trick that is in the book looks like this. It's kind of a impossible trick because I'm going to fold this paper up around the coin. So it's kind of sealed inside of this. It's like I'm making a bit of a tomb of sorts for this thing. So you can see here, right there. You can see, if the camera focuses on the white, it's a little hard. You can see the shape of the coin. Like that's clearly sealed in there. And if you were here, well, I could even have you pinch that. But I can snap my fingers, open up this coin tomb, and the coin is gone. That is in the book. So that's it's called a coin fold. And actually there's, if you read a lot of magic books, they're everywhere, man. There's so many coin folds, and they're basically the same, but everyone has kind of their own little variation on it. So we need a piece of paper. Everyone have a piece of paper? Again, you had to source your own because this would have blown the budget. But close-up pads for everybody. Index cards, a little stingy. I've got a lot of recipes to write down. I can't be just giving those away.
Right. I may or may not have planned this out quite as thoroughly as you think.
Okay. How do I start teaching this? See, I've never taught these things before, which is interesting for me.
All right, we have a coin and a piece of paper.
We have a coin and a piece of paper.
How do we hold the paper?
We put the coin dead center in the paper. You need to pinch that. And the first fold we're going to make is the bottom up towards the side of the coin, which makes a little ledge. Might be easier to hold it from the top. Makes a little ledge, and you need to fold it to make sure it covers the coin. You can't have any coin peeking out the top. It needs to be able to cover up that coin. However, it's not going all the way to the top. Okay, that's fold number one. You're holding the coin in the middle. You can show both sides just so people know that that coin is truly getting folded inside. The next fold you're going to do is the edges. But what you want to do is fold, if this is the open side, we could say, you want to fold the edges away from the open side. So I'm folding, it's hard to see white on all the white on white here. If that's the open side with the coin, I'm folding that away from the open side, which means I still have this little pocket with a coin inside, undisturbed. The last fold I'm going to do is folding over what was originally the top of the paper. And here's the thing. If you fold it forward, you are sealing up that pocket and trapping the coin inside. If you fold that backwards, it keeps that little pocket with the coin open. So that is the concept of the coin fold. You create the appearance or the suggestion that you are trapping this coin inside the paper, when in fact you are not trapping the coin inside. We should have had a spoiler alert. So yeah, that's the impression you're trying to give, that you're taking this paper, you're like wrapping it up in this sealed box. But the truth of the matter is, it's got this open pocket such that that coin can just slip right out. Okay, so it can slip in and out of that pocket. The way that you to use magician's lingo, steal the coin, you steal the coin out of this pocket in a variety of ways. One way that works all right is if you were, so you have the pocket, so it's facing up. That way the coin is not going to accidentally fall out. And you can have it in this hand and pass it to, or move towards someone and have them squeeze to make sure the coin is still in there. And then you transfer it to the other hand in process. This is your top edge. You're going to flip it over. So now the pocket is open at the bottom, but your fingers are just squeezing that coin. You can extend it over here and have someone squeeze it to verify the coin is inside. And then as you bring it back, you can release your grip and that coin is going to fall into your hand. So they just felt it inside and then a second later it's gone. And you can, in that moment, you can just keep the coin hidden in your hand and unfold the paper and it's gone. That's one way you could do it. And I'm not using any magic technique. I'm just holding it in my hand. No, don't get caught up on trying to palm the coin or something. It's just because, you know, holding this paper gives you a reason to have a hand that's closed up. Like if you had nothing and you were just like, hey everybody, I'm here just with my hands. That's me. It looks weird to have that hand closed.
Right.
But if I'm holding a piece of paper, it no longer looks weird. That's the concept behind magicians using a magic wand. It gives them something to hold so that their hand can appear natural while hiding objects. So your paper becomes your magic wand to be able to hide that coin.
Now, the having the coin drop out of the little paper pocket was not working so well for me. I would turn it over and it just wasn't falling out.
Right. I was playing with that and I experienced the same challenge when I was practicing this, and I figured out a little thing that seemed to work for me. And I wonder, this might be a good opportunity to try my overhead camera because I think it might focus better on this stuff.
Okay.
Let's find out. Aha. Yeah, I think that's going to be more consistent. Okay, yeah. So the issue is once you squeeze that coin in, it gets stuck inside the pocket and it's not going to come out. Here's what I found. If I take the edges and kind of pull the edges back a bit, whoops, and I'm kind of pulling them downward from the pocket,
Yeah.
it opens up the middle and allows that coin to fall out a lot easier. That's what I found.
Okay.
And it can, and that's not necessarily a secret move that you need to do. You could even say, you know, hey, you can see the coin's in there, and like you're showing it solidly, like there's something solid in there. And in that action, you've done what you needed to do to open up the pocket.
I think that you also, I think the first time when I folded the sides in, I folded them too tightly around the coin.
Oh yeah, I did. I see. There's the thing. First time you teach something, you forget these little things. Yeah, you can't fold tight around the coin when you make that. Oops, I just ripped my paper. Sarah, can you send me another piece of paper? I just ripped this one.
Oh, it's out of the budget. One piece of
Shouldn't
paper
have
like
poked
that.
fun earlier. But yeah, if I'm gonna just. So when I fold my paper, it's folding this little rectangle, and you want to make sure that rectangle has a lot of wiggle room with your coin, because if you fold tight around that, it is going to grab on and not be able to release that coin. So yeah, give your coin some space inside your pocket. Now, the most challenging part of this, or maybe the most kind of, anxiety-inducing part of this, is probably going to be after you steal the coin, you're hiding a coin, and you're going to want to, get rid of it or do something with it, because hiding a coin in your hand in front of an audience who is staring at you gets a little nerve-wracking. So a couple things with that. this is another common use of a magic wand. So again, I will take my coin, I'll fold it up, fold the bottom up. I fold the sides the opposite direction. I fold the back the opposite direction. And I have my coin. You can squeeze to make sure it's in there. You can squeeze to make sure it's in there. I've let it drop into my hand. Now, at this moment, if I had a magic wand of any kind, let's say it's a marker, here's what I can do. The marker's in my pocket, and they just checked that the coin is in here. I could say, hang on a second, I need my magic wand. And you take this coin into your pocket and come out with your magic wand and go boop. In that way, the magic wand has truly made the coin disappear. So it's hidden from your hand. You reach into your pocket, come out with any object that you happen to have to act as magic wand, boop, and then you're completely free of any coinage.
Right, shall we go into breakout rooms and everyone can try it? Hearing excitement about the concept.
Before we get to there, does anyone have any questions for me?
Julie, yes.
I happen to be wearing a dress with pockets today, but a lot of women's clothes have no pockets.
Right.
You have any other ideas?
Yeah, well,
Stitching the coin.
anywhere that you can leave a coin behind out of sight can work. So obviously when we're on camera, just below the camera, it's you live in a pocket basically. But if you're performing in real life without the benefit of a camera, it could be placed behind something. If you're in a restaurant, you could say, oh, I need a bit of magic sugar, and you reach over, you leave the coin behind the little sugar box and pull out a packet. And you finish your trick, and then later on you can crinkle up the sugar packet and drop it near the sugar, and then clean the whole thing up and steal your coin after the heat has gone away. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a permanent storage. It can be a temporary storage just for that moment.
Okay.
Can you do it one more time, the whole thing?
Absolutely.
I couldn't tell if you put the paper upwards and fold it this way first, or do you
let me just take a moment here to decorate my paper a bit. I think it'll be easier to see on camera.
And Julie, and those of us whose clothes frequently don't have pockets. I mean, if you're carrying a purse, a backpack, use a friend. They're presumably you're carrying something, a coat. Who knows? Ditch it. I mean, literally anywhere, behind the sofa, under your leg. If you're sitting. If you can reach sort of out of view to get your magic wand, a pen, whatever is going to help you do the magic, ditch it there.
Oh, I keep my magic wand in my sock. Hang on a second.
Right, and otherwise, I mean, if things are truly dire, I would simply, you've got your packet here. I'm holding the coin, not so magically, in this fist. And I'm just going to hold the packet in this hand. And then take the two, so both hands are kind of both in fists. And okay, here is my empty paper. The coin is gone. And now I will put the paper away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, little, I call them little crab pinchers.
Yeah.
Anytime you're hiding something, because this is something I learned from Jay Sankey many years ago, the idea of mirroring your hands. So if you're hiding a coin here, you don't want to be like, hey, everybody, I'm here to do some magic for you. Right. That gives it away. But if you do this with both hands, it seems like a natural thing, So as you open that paper, just try and keep both your hands as if you're hiding something, and it won't look like you're hiding anything. Right. Two wrongs make a right.
It's about the matching. if there's something, you know, if they don't match, then people are going to wonder what's in this hand. But if they're both like this, nobody thinks about it.
All right, so I'm gonna walk through the fold here. I've created my new and improved demo piece of paper, so you can recognize there's the top or the bottom half, there's the top part, so you might be able to watch or see it in action a bit better. So you take your coin and you place it dead center of your paper. First fold is the bottom going up and making sure that you don't have any coin poking out. I am, just so we can keep track of it. But there's enough room down here for that coin to drop away. The next is the sides. Now, if you were to fold these forward, you'd be losing track of that little secret pocket. So you're folding to the back, keeping that pocket open. And this one folds to the back, keeping that pocket in place. And the last fold, again, you don't want to seal up your pocket. You want to fold that to the back, keeping the pocket open. Now, in performance, that's obviously for teaching. I'm trying to make very clear actions. But in performance, I'd want to disguise the fact that it's all going to the back a little bit. So in performance, it might look more like this. Here, I'm going to take this coin and I'm going to create a bit of a paper tomb. You can see that paper completely losing the coin in there. In fact, I'm going to fold in this edge. I'm going to fold in this edge, and I'm even going to fold in that edge. So you can see I'm rotating the paper all around, so you kind of lose track of what's front and what's back.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go into breakout rooms then and give it a try. Let's see. We have, okay. Oops, hang on. I'll get the hang of this eventually. Okay. All right, please join your assigned breakout room. Okay.
I'm black and blue, and I'm really
Okay. I try not to record the breakout rooms because that's just practicing.
I don't think you can.
I can record my breakout room.
Your breakout room. Okay.
I can't record all of it, only the one in which I am present.
Right. The sacred room, which was what we call it.
As it should be.
Okay, hi honey, I'm home.
Okay. So do we have a before we move on to the next trick? Okay. Any other questions now that we've all had a chance to try it? Anybody have any questions, comments?
Do you know which page is that in the book?
177.
177. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sarah,
yes.
I have a question. One of the things they always talk about magic is the justification for doing the trick.
Uh-huh.
And I meant to ask Ryan, what would be the justification for pulling out a piece of paper and a coin? How would you start that?
Yeah.
Okay. Justify yourself.
That's a good justify my justification. Okay. No, excellent question. And you're absolutely right that it's there's a lot of tricks in magic that seems like the only reason you're doing what you're doing is in order to do a magic trick, which is what we try and avoid. We try and camouflage this sort of stuff. So how to make this paper feel more organic or natural. one idea that I kind of barely sprinkled in was the reason I'm using the paper is that I'm trying to encase the coin in its tomb. I'm trying to make it more difficult for what I'm about to do, when in fact it's enabling what I'm about to do. But that's a line that I put in there in order to justify the paper. I don't have any American cash to try it, but it might also work with a dollar bill, which would be a more natural combination. I don't know if it's, you might have to fold it so it's the long way, because I'm not sure there's enough space to cover up that way. So you might have to try it the long way and then just do little folds on the edge. But in theory, it should work with a dollar bill, which would make a little more sense, coins and bills. In that case, you could talk about, hey, have you heard of inflation? Well, this is how it actually works. You take a quarter and it's absorbed by the dollar.
Right. You, just to clarify, you mean use the dollar bill as the piece of paper that you're folding around.
Yeah, that wasn't clear. I thought you were saying
yes,
inside.
yes,
I thought, how can you feel it through the paper?
Dollar and the coin.
Okay.
Fold the dollar around the coin.
Got it. Sorry. See, I had a whole different picture in my head, just in case anybody else was confused.
Same
Sounds
here.
like it wasn't just you. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair point.
That would make sense. I mean, there's you know, it's a good point that it's a common challenge in Magic. You know, you could want to wrap the coin in paper and like take a pencil and do like a rubbing of the coin. You know, that's a reason that you want the coin in the paper, and then you take an impression of the coin, and then all of the impression is all that's left.
You'll also see in some of the older books, back in the days when we used pencils, which we don't often use in most cases, where they do the coin fold and then they take a pencil and poke it through the paper. And so it seems as though the effect is that you're able to take this pencil and push it through a coin, when in fact, the ultimate effect is that the coin has vanished entirely. And by doing that kind of false effect justifies why you're wrapping it.
You know, or to give to have a story where the coin is not just a coin, but represents something else. And then that thing is what you're wrapping in a paper, which is representing another thing, you know.
What if, I'm just spitballing ideas here, what if you had your paper and it said, I owe you 25 cents. You wrap it up, make the coin disappear, and then it says, I owe you 0.
Yes, it is an awkward thing to do, and to a certain extent, you know, why are we doing it? Because it's what we need to do the magic trick. But you know, or
the thing I find about justifications is that they don't have to actually be logical. They just need to be stated. Like, you know, you could say, hey, I'm going to do a trick with a coin and a paper. I'm going to use the paper because that's the way it was taught to me when I grew up in Saskatchewan. We wrapped our money in paper. You don't have to explain it. Just the fact that I mention it, it's like, oh, well, that's why he's using paper. It's a dumb joke, but whatever. Like, you know.
Hey, this is the cheapest wallet in the world.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be mentioned, and then you're kind of safe to move ahead.
You know, I'm going to take the coin. I'm going to hide it from the light. I'm going to, you know, no light is going to touch this coin.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's what year is this? Oh, 1983. Oh, that's a very collectible year. I'm going to keep it safe. You know.
It's for something like this. I would say the bigger the trick, the better the explanation, the better the justification. But for a little trick, little story, don't oversell.
Yeah. When I was young, my grandfather traveled to China and he brought back this piece of paper that was said to be haunted by the mystic forces of Lord Zhu Shen. And
No, I want to hear the end of the story now. Okay.
Well, you've heard about the Chinese inventing clocks, and they had various ways of keeping track of time, such as burning incense. And they knew that this incense took exactly 15 minutes to burn. So if you burn 4 of those, an hour has passed, and so on and so forth. Well, this is actually another version of a Chinese clock. But instead of time, it uses money. So that's where the saying comes from. Time is money. And in fact, if you wrap up a coin inside of the clock and you just wait 10 seconds, well, that's all it takes. And now you know 10 seconds has elapsed because the coin is gone. So that's the time is money clock.
I am so glad that I recorded this because I'm going to have to watch it back and figure out what the hell you just said.
It's one of those, I like those kinds of lies where there's enough truth to it that it's passable. Because if you look up the history of clocks, that's based on true history.
So John in the chat writes, he never carries change, so he'll have to make up a story for why he has it. Valerie points out that he can ask to borrow a coin, and that's perfectly fine. Your audience may get irritated after a certain point if you do not return it, and you may want to come up with a reason why, a way to find it again somewhere. And perhaps we will come up with something later in our session. But I just want to point out that if every time you do it, you steal somebody's quarter, you may irritate your audience. Okay.
What kind of audience do you have?
Yeah, maybe you have a very tolerant audience.
I'm shocked.
Okay, so is there a volunteer? Lauren, I saw you first. So to do, what is the coin fold?
Right.
Okay, fantastic. You are on for 2 from today.
So I know everybody's been, reading the papers lately.
But for 2 weeks from today.
Hang on, I can't see Lauren here.
Well, you're
We're
going to
still
see
spotlighted.
2 weeks from today. He's going to perform it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, 2 weeks for, oh, I thought you wanted it right now.
Well, it's not too soon to spotlight him.
No, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be on vacation, so I can have to buy a computer. Sorry.
Okay, so is that okay? We'll do this before we begin next session. You'll have a chance to work on it.
Like I said, I just remembered in 2 weeks, I'm going to be on vacation. I may not have a computer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so all right. So then we need.
You're gonna let a silly vacation distract you from magic?
Okay, so if
I volunteer.
Valerie volunteers. Okay, fantastic. So Valerie for the coin fold. Super. Thank you so much. And next on today's, what's our next trick, Ryan?
But before we move on, I'm just gonna document a couple different ideas on this. We're not gonna get into them, but I just want to document it for the recording. People can check them out later. Another idea. Again, here's my awkwardly high table we were talking about earlier. So if you're performing at a table, if you're meeting at a cafe and you want to perform this trick, here's another option. You put it in, you fold it up, etc., etc. We've been through this. Now you have your little pocket. Here's what you do. You can, if the pocket is forward, you set it on the table with the pocket down. And the reason you might set it down is because you can have people tap on that or tap it against the wood table. You can hear that there's a coin in there. Here's the sneaky thing. If you pick that up and pull it towards yourself, as you pick it up, you've now inverted the pocket and that coin can drop out. So if you're sitting at a table, you'd slide it back towards the edge of the table and pick it up, and that coin drops out while it's at the edge of the table. And now it's gone, and you don't have to hide anything. It just falls into your lap, and hopefully it doesn't bounce out of your lap and roll across the floor like Sarah's coin.
Now, for those of us who perform wearing a skirt, that is where we have a real advantage because we have a natural pocket in our lap.
The old lap pocket works every time.
If
Yeah.
you're not wearing a skirt, but you are at a restaurant or at a dinner table, your napkin is spread across your lap and creates a nice pocket.
Yeah, that does really well. If you have neither, if you ever trying to drop or secretly drop things in your lap, you want to take your knees. These are my knees, not actually. I'm pretending. These are my knees, and you want to kind of just like cross them a little bit, which prevents things from being able to slip through the front between your knees. Just tuck your knees a bit. That helps. Okay, the other idea I just wanted to have on tape for later is when I first demonstrated this trick, I started off by making the coin up here before I made it disappear. So I had my piece of paper, and you can see right there. I'm doing this, and what did I do? I folded it up and around, snap my fingers, and the coin comes out. So this is a very simple process here of having a coin already pinched behind the paper with my thumb. If I hold it like this, the paper naturally falls and covers that. So you can come out quite cleanly. And if I grab the opposite side in the same way and fold the paper so it bows towards the front, my thumbs can touch. And in that action, the coin gets pushed across. So I get to show this hand empty, show this hand empty, and then fold up around the coin and produce a coin. So
nice.
Not in the book, that one.
Bonus.
Bonus round. Okay. But you know what is in the book? Coin through handkerchief on page 178.
Okay, there are handkerchiefs in the in your kit. I don't think I think I forgot to tell you to have it. Does everybody have their one of the silks handy? Thank you, Ryan.
I did not. I had to go to multiple thrift stores this morning in order to find the only handkerchief I could find.
So one of the
which is beautiful spring colors. I'm not complaining.
That is lovely. I mean, you can use any kind of a scarf in your kit. You should have two 18-inch silks and a 6-inch silk. I think we can use the 6-inch for this. So the 18-inch silks are going to be folded up inside the cellophane, and the 6-inch silk is just one layer. Yeah, Linda, you found.
I noticed in the book, it suggests you could borrow a handkerchief from your audience. In this book that was written, the book that was written in 1980 by a 60-year-old man and his 80-year-old magic consultant suggests you could borrow a handkerchief. Good luck with that.
I don't know, the pocket square was back for a little while.
Yeah. Although pocket squares are only about that big now.
Well, how big a handkerchief do you need?
Big enough to drape over your hand.
Okay, no pocket
So,
square.
yeah.
So will the 6-inch silk do it, or they need a bigger one?
Bigger is helpful in this case.
Okay, I take it back. I lied to all of you. Don't use the 6-inch silk. Grab one of the 18-inch silks, please.
Yes, 18-inch would be. I was actually trying it with my glasses wipe to see if it would work, and it is, which is a good, in a pinch it works, but it's less than ideal.
Okay.
So size matters.
We'll use. This is actually the bag in which I received my set of linking rings, which I got from my father, which I believe he received from his mentor. I'm gonna guess in the 60s. Oh, I do not know who made the bag, but I suspect it was made with love in the 60s at some point.
That will do nicely.
Thank you.
Yeah. The key element is that you are able to have a coin in your hand and you're able to cover it with a handkerchief in order to hide that coin. That's essentially the size of the silk that you need, or handkerchief. Shouldn't use silk. That's a magician term. Shouldn't call it that. The size of the handkerchief you need is to be able to drape over your hand. And the smaller handkerchiefs might not drape, or they might kind of just want to fall off. But this one is big enough that you can show that you have the coin there, okay? And then you grab the coin and you twist it up inside so that you have that coin. Again, if I had my wood table, I could tap it to prove that it's really there. But all you need to do is just give it a bit of a pull, and the handkerchief you have been supplied with should have a little hole in the middle in order for that coin to pop through, right? If you don't have the supplied hole, you'll have to do it the difficult way.
I think I forgot to cut the holes before I sent them out.
No, the hole came separately. It's inside the box somewhere. Check the corners.
Don't open the envelope. Don't open the brown envelope. You're not authorized to open the brown envelope.
Yeah, sometimes the hole falls off. But
We also don't want to have a transparent handkerchief, right? You don't want to use the silk, which is you can see through almost.
Well, you
Right,
probably have
Ron,
enough fabric in the silk that you got. You should have enough fabric that it'll kind of lie over it in layers, and they won't be able to see.
Okay.
actually, this particular one isn't. I don't think it's a problem. It might actually even be better because you can truly see the coin is where it's supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem. For the variation, it might be, but this one I found it's one of those 100% polyester dealies, which is not a magic silk, because magic silks are meant to be as thin, almost as thin as they can, in order to compress as small as possible. But a fashion accessory such as this is a little bit hardier. Okay.
And while you pointed out that silks, referring to a silk as a magician's term, a scarf is a perfectly acceptable term.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, a scarf is a handkerchief you don't blow your nose in. I believe is the technical hierarchy of fabric squares.
I'm gonna stitch that on a sampler.
All right, so your coin, I'll just demonstrate this again. It kind of got lost in the conversation a little bit.
Good.
So you can see my coin is right there in the center. Now, I'm going to take that coin, fair as can be, twirl that up, locking the coin in place. And again, if you were here, you could feel that truly is a round coin in there. However, all I need to do is give it a little massaging of the atoms, and the coin is able to pull right through the handkerchief, which is unharmed in any way. There we go. That is Coin Through Handkerchief, page 178 in the Mark Wilson book. Let's dig in. This could also work if you go to fancy restaurants with cloth napkins. Those would be appropriate for this trick as well. So, holding the coin up in this position. So it's right at my fingertips, kind of trying to show as much of the coin as possible. And the handkerchief gets draped over top, and you want to put it so the coin is pretty well near the middle, such that the handkerchief will not fall off in any direction. You haven't done anything, you haven't cheated, so it's honest. You're going to check to see the coin is there, or pinch it to prove the coin is there. And that is when I do the sneaky move. What would be the clearest way to show this? if I have a strip of paper, this might be a little more clear. Okay. So I'm giving you the side view here. The handkerchief is draped over the coin in my hand. I pinch both the coin and the handkerchief just as like, you know, to say, hey, you can see the coin, the shape of the coin is right here. You can feel it, it's solid. What's happening is my thumb underneath is going to push up on the handkerchief a little bit and re-grab the coin. So it's actually 2 layers of handkerchief between my thumb and the coin. So it's created this little fold behind the coin. So that is the situation. Hopefully that paper helped to make it clear. In handkerchief mode, I pinch and my thumb, you can see my thumb there, it's going to move out and back. And in that process, get that little pinch of fabric. So that's your preparation for the move. Your hand is going to come forward, grab the front end of the handkerchief and lift it up. And it's as if you're giving a little sneak peek in order to show the handkerchief is still covering the coin. In behind, when you come back, you're actually going to come back with both layers of the handkerchief. So you're going to pick up all, like you can't see my thumb under there, picking up the other handkerchief and moving the entire handkerchief to the front. So from the back, I am absolutely naked back here. The entire handkerchief is moved to the front, except for my little pinch, which covers the coin. I pick up that coin and pull it away, and then I start twisting. And as soon as I do that, that covers up all of the nakedness, because that missing handkerchief is now just all wrapped up together. What's happened here is that little naked opening, you can access the coin through there. But when you twist it, it twists up around that coin. And this is kind of the exposed view, but it twists up so that coin is in there with access through the little pocket. I can twist that up. Again, similar to the fold, you could have someone check to see the coin is truly inside the handkerchief. And when you twist, it even closes up that hole to the point that you can show it from that side and from that side. So it's very well covered at that point. In order to get it out, I found it just takes a little bit of a kind of moving back and forth to loosen up this twist. And you'll start to see, and you might be able to, you know, move your thumb around and kind of truly massage it out. Like I kind of said, that's the magic thing, but it's actually the true thing. You kind of massage it a bit to open up that pocket so the coin starts to come out. And then I find I get to this point and you still can't pull forward because it's then in the pocket. But if I twist it, twist down and basically rotate my hand, and then I'm able to pull it to the side out the pocket. So it's not really a detailed process to get it out. It's just a bit of wiggling, a bit of maneuvering in order to get a grasp on that coin and be able to pull it through. So I'll start from the very top and go through the moves. Hold the coin at your fingertips. Drape the handkerchief over, coin goes in the middle. I'm going to, as if I'm checking to see if the coin is there, but in that process, my thumb grabs the little extra flap. I show the coin is still where it should be. And in behind, I'm grabbing all the layers to pull it forward. Naked. I come and pinch the coin through the fabric. And this hand, which I want to make sure I show, I don't want to look suspicious at this point because that's what they might suspect. I want to be really clear and open. Twist that around. So you're in this position. And then just massage that in order to get it out and pull it through. When you do the actual effect part of it, a couple things on this is that you want to make sure your hands don't move a lot, because you don't want to be going like, here, I'm going to make this coin come out of the handkerchief. You won't be able to tell that anything happened. So you want to remain static. I'm going to make this coin, and all the movements are very small. I'm going to make this coin come out of the handkerchief and then stop for a second. You want to just lock in this image of, there's the middle, there's the coin. And then show the handkerchief, and then move, like you move one thing at a time in order to avoid creating chaos. All right.
Could you just show the folds? Because I did it right the first time and now I can't do it again.
Okay.
Just the first, when you do with your thumb.
Right. So I'll quickly demonstrate the paper again. I think that makes it more clear. So everything is draped over. And as I pinch it from the top, my thumb moves back and forward to do that. And so the handkerchief would still be, so it's this double layer behind the coin.
That's what I was doing, but like the first time it worked, the other times the material didn't want to bend. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it was moving everything instead of bending there for the thumb to get there.
Okay. So yeah, I can understand that. If it's a stiffer fabric, it doesn't want to bend so easily.
Maybe it's because it's new and it's
the other thing is, you're anchoring the coin with these fingers, and you're pinching there. So maybe you can move the thumb back even further in order to get a bigger fold, perhaps. And it doesn't have to be a perfect fold by any means. Like, it's just basically grabbing an extra clump of fabric, if that's easier to think of it that way. Like, it's not a precise action. So you reveal it, grab everything forward. And so this is, again, the goal of that pinch is just to make sure the coin is covered from the backside. So, it might be, if you happen to have a smaller pinch of fabric and the coin is exposed a little bit, your thumb still has the opportunity to just pull back a little bit and clean up afterwards. That's still an option on the table.
Any questions? Shall we go into some breakout rooms and try it? Okay, hearing no questions and general excitement about breakout rooms.
If there are no objections.
Oh, shut up.
The ayes have it.
All right, fine.
All right. So yeah, going into breakout rooms. Could I get a second?
I sometimes get affected by my day job. Don't judge me. All right, I'm breaking you out now. Go in your breakout rooms and
Get out of
try and
here.
stop bothering me. Okay, putting that on. All right, and everybody else will join us for a minute. In a minute. Okay. Have you been showing the magic that you've been learning to anybody?
I've been practicing a lot.
Yeah, good.
I did try it out on my wife and she liked it, especially from the first session that we did, Ryan. And I actually made a a graphic page that I printed out on a cardstock. So I could fold that. This was the prediction thing that Ryan had done.
Nice.
And that worked out very well.
Cool. Okay.
Now in the main session.
So now as we go through all of this, you know, we get a volunteer to perform something, you know, every week. We see performances of what we learned the prior week, but try it out. You know, even if it's not something that you perform in the class the next session, remember our last session we're going to do a show. So think about as we learn different magic tricks, think about what you might like to do in the show. So okay, does anybody want to volunteer to do this? Yumi, yes.
I need to practice a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Yumi is down for coin through handkerchief on page 178. We will see that next week. Okay, thank you. And Ryan, I will turn it over to you. We have more.
Yes. Actually, I was in a breakout session with Ron, and he had an interesting idea on this, and I asked him if he'd be willing to share and show his idea.
Okay. Ron, just wave at me for a second. Thank you. So I can find you and spotlight you.
And I credit this part to Ryan about justification. At a restaurant, they had this napkin made of this very expensive material. As a matter of fact, the last time I was there with this napkin, I had a meatball go right through the center of the napkin. But I thought what I would show you how expensive this napkin is with this $50. And you put the $50 in through the napkin and it's still there. I just want to show you that napkin still has that. And the interesting thing about this is that with this napkin, you can actually, this is what happened to the meatball that I had as I was working it through the cloth. It came out through the hole that the meatball went through.
Yeah, Ron suggests that a very, very visual way of doing that. I think it's nice that it you know, it focuses all the attention, right? It's nice. Everyone look. So I thought that was a nice variation on it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank
And
you.
I think a little easier actually. You don't have to worry about the twisting and it's got all right there.
80% less likely that I will drop it on the floor.
Yeah, well, that's always a win. All right. Well, we have 6 minutes to go and half the class left to teach.
Oh God. Sorry about that.
I accept partial responsibility, not full responsibility this time. I think I've kept it fairly tight, but whatever. Anyway, moving on. You know, the moral of the story is it's not about how many tricks you know. It's about how many tricks you are actually capable of performing. So if we take a little more time to learn a trick, I think that's not a bad thing.
About the friends we make along the way.
That's right. This is basically, we're going to get together and recreate the Muppet Show movie. Moving right along, dug-a-dug, dug-a-dug.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Okay. let's try this. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna pop out for just a second. Can I leave you alone? In
Like
the room for a
leave
sec?
entirely?
What? No, I'm just gonna mute myself and shut off my camera. But I'll be
Oh.
back in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Thank you. I swear I will be back.
Uh-huh.
Hi there, Ryan. I
right.
enjoyed your lecture at the New Magic Academy.
Oh,
That
thank
was
you,
wonderful.
Sadir.
I think I'm going to order that. What was it? The shuffling the card shuffle and then coming out.
Shuffleboard,
with
yeah.
14, I think.
I didn't mean to wait for me. Please continue. Well, I will be back in a minute, but please continue.
Oh no, I'm just waiting until you're gone. I can show the good stuff.
All right, do what you gotta do.
Okay. No, I'm gonna try demonstrating this trick from page 183, which is not at all something I do, but we'll see how it all works out. And this is a table trick. So unfortunately, I won't be able to perform it. My little table isn't big enough, so I have to switch to, as we were talking about, the worst way to perform on camera is that you're just gonna get the tabletop view. I've got my handkerchief here, and you can kind of see 4 coins. Coloring is not great. They kind of disappear a little bit. Okay, wait, no, that's the middle. It's backwards. 4 coins, and somewhere I should have a couple cards. So this is the 2-card 4-coin trick. Now, I only have 2 cards, 4 coins. I was going to try and cover them. I could put them both over here, but it confused me because I put the cards on the coins that are left, which means these 2 are left. So are these the left ones or are these the left ones? And it just confuses me too much. So I decided to try putting the cards over here, but I worry that, you know, I don't know you very well, and I'm wondering if that might be too forward. So don't. If I put the coins over here, I figure, well, that's all right. That's not, did you come back just to groan?
I want to come back to laugh if you told a better joke.
Okay, let's not get nitpicky. Okay, how about this? How about this? I'll move that one there. I'll move that one up here. We'll go the diagonal. So we'll take a new angle on this, okay? Here we go. Coin number 1. This is normally a tablecloth would be what I do. So I'm gonna take the coin, move under the table, and in fact towards that card, and there we go. In that action, it is passed once again through the handkerchief to join the other coin. Okay, let's try that again. I have another coin. It's gonna go under the tablecloth, and there's now 1, 2, 3 coins there. That leaves 1 left to go over here. And I'm not even going to touch it. I'm just going to snap my fingers. It's going to pass through the handkerchief once. And it's gone. And it's going to tiptoe underneath the tablecloth over to here, where it joins the other 3, all 4 coins together.
Wow, that's a lot of magic.
Any questions?
All right, there's a lot in there.
Yeah, and we have 45 seconds to cover it. No, the good news is, I think that's a pretty good trick. It's not something I do because I rarely perform at a table sitting down with tablecloths. I don't go to fancy restaurants like that. So it's not something I get to do very often, but I have performed it in the past, years ago. And I think it's pretty good. And it's not that difficult. I think it looks better than it is. challenge. It's not that, anyway, you get my point.
No, it looks like more than it is. Is that, I don't know.
It's, yeah.
But it's, I mean, it's a version of the classic. There are tons of versions of it. This is a solid one. It's a classic for a reason.
Mhm. So this relies on a principle in Magic they call one ahead, which basically means you're always one step ahead of where the audience thinks you are. And it enables you to make things disappear from over here and reappear over here. Let me switch back to my table cam here. So it is, as you see, everything you see is as it is. Where do these go? Those go here. It's weird because this is like mirrored for me, so it's hard to navigate my table. I truly have 4 coins and I truly have 2 cards. The 2 cards can be anything, any flat object that covers coins. It doesn't matter. You're going to get one ahead because you do the last thing first. And that's how you get a jump on it. So the last thing is that this coin down here is going to disappear. So the first thing you do is make that coin disappear. And what I need to do is steal that coin under this card. So it was there and now it's gone. So there's a coin and I can pick it up secretly underneath the card and move it away. That's how you get started. So you need to be able to pick up that coin, and all I'm doing is I give you the side angle view. I'm placing that card above it, and my fingers are able to grab underneath and pinch the coin. Now, this sort of thing needs a soft table surface. You can't do this on the diners that I go to with the Formica countertops. You need a bit of a soft surface. So I actually have my handkerchief here with a bit of fabric underneath. You have your close-up pads, apparently, which is very fancy, and exactly the purpose of a close-up pad. That's why magicians use close-up pads, is to be able to secretly pick up things and secretly put down things without it making noise. So you are equipped with what you need. But if you are in a restaurant and it has a tablecloth, what I would suggest is before you start performing this trick, just do a little test and put a coin on the table, and just as you're talking, see if you can, easily pick up that coin, because you don't want to be poking around it with your fingernails in order to secretly pick it up. So got your 4 coins, and you do all this rigmarole about covering different coins until you get to this point. And when you're covering your 2 right side coins, this back one gets stolen away. And this front one moves back. So the 2 cards are overlapping for a second, because you're actually going to use this card to cover the back corner, but you need to do that without revealing the coin is gone. So there's this overlap as you do that. And the coin, or the card with your secret coin, moves up to the front and covers that coin, in the process laying down the second coin. So that is where you're one ahead, because you haven't even started the trick yet, and there's 2 coins here and no coins there. Now you're going to repeat the exact same process twice. Pick up the first coin, and apparently you're going to go under the tablecloth and push it up through the cloth, but that's already there. You just need to get rid of this coin. And this is the easiest sleight of hand in the whole book, I think. At the edge of my tablecloth, this hand gathers it up and picks it up, but underneath my fingers are flat like a table underneath the fabric. So when I take this coin and put it underneath the tablecloth, it happens to pass right by these fingers. And so as it passes, it gets left behind in those fingers. So under the cloth, I've got that layer of fabric to cover everything. It gets left in the fingers as this hand proceeds towards that card with nothing, mimics or mimes the action of pushing a coin through. This hand comes out empty because the coin is secretly there to reveal the coin. So all the focus and attention is here. They just watched an incredible trick, which allows you to get ahead for the next move. This card comes back to the edge of the table, happens to go over top of this hand. So if you pull this hand out, getting to the edge of my camera, if you pull this hand out, the card is now covering the coin. So as I said, it's easiest sleight of hand because there's nothing for people to see. It's hidden underneath the edge of your napkin or the tablecloth. You put the card there and then you pull your hand out. And now you have a coin hidden behind that card, which, just as before, gets set down on those two. You've added the next one. You're in the exact same position for the next coin. Same thing happens. You go under, it gets left behind in those fingers, pretend to push it through, hand comes out empty, reveal the third coin has traveled. Move this card back in position to hide that. Coin number 4 gets set down. Now you need to be a little bit careful because you don't want to click as you set that down. And with 3 coins, you're kind of running out of room, but you don't necessarily have to cover all the coins. So it might be easier just to set this down to the side a little bit. So your new coin is over here and your other coins are over here. The last one, you've already done the work. So it's a freebie. Snap your fingers. It's disappeared from here. Travel across to join number 4.
Wow.
That is, I think, as Sarah said, a lot of magic in a compact space. You've made 3 coins travel pretty cleanly. I think it's a pretty nice trick if you have the setup and scenario in order to do it. Hopefully, I know we're running out of time, so hopefully that video was clear enough that you'll be able to review and go over and practice it. But if you have any questions that you weren't clear on, now's a good time to ask.
Okay.
I know it's a lot to soak in all at once, so I understand if you're just kind of.
I have a question. When you're moving the cards around, do you want to always keep them, like say, face down? So it's always the backs up all the time, or is it better to let them like flip over so you can actually see what's on the card? Does it really matter to try to keep it?
To me, it doesn't matter. When I performed it, you noticed that the frontmost card kept getting flipped every time because it would be there. I'd lift it up and just let it lever back onto my hand. And then the next time it would be face up and then it would lever back onto my hand. So it kept flipping every time, which I think is, to me, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And maybe it's a slight improvement because people can clearly see both sides of the card. They get the impression that they're seeing more of the card. So that's, I'm kind of making that up, but.
Well, I would say that the only thing you want to be that I would think about is that I wouldn't want to make too big a deal about showing both sides of the card when I pick it up with my non-dominant hand, or when I'm not the one I'm not holding out in, because I don't want to bring attention to the fact that I'm not flipping it over when I'm holding it with the hand that also has a coin in it. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that there's no reason that you should ever like say, hey, look at this card and show both sides, because there's a lot of times when you can't.
Yeah.
And I think it's handled so freely at the beginning. You know, here's a couple cards, put those on the table. There's no reason to suspect anything. So I would just let the cards fall as they may.
Yeah. So before I know a couple of people have to go.